Warm greetings to all of you, our dear friends from every corner of the world. Thank you for always accompanying Lytulinda, the little woman with a strong spirit living in the distant mountains. You know, in poor and uneducated regions, many women have to endure things they never deserved. Wounds not only on their bodies, but deep in their hearts. Many choose silence out of fear, loneliness, or simply because no one stands by their side. Have you ever wondered, if one day you meet a woman like that, hurt, lost, and hopeless, what would you do? Would you walk past her? Or stop, even just once, to listen to her story? Today, Lytulinda will tell you about such a day. The day she met a woman burdened by pain, and with her gentle kindness, Linda helped her find a spark of faith again, in a place where hope seemed long forgotten. It was a morning like any other. Linda carried her bamboo basket on her back and followed the narrow path leading up the mountain slope to earn a living. The early mist still clung to the leaves, and the wind from the forest was cool and crisp. The winding road lay silent, only the sound of her footsteps and the quiet padding of her loyal dog behind. Halfway up the hill, Linda saw a young woman, thin, her worn-out clothes faded from time. She was struggling to carry heavy logs, her steps slow and unsteady under the morning sun. Sweat rolled down her cheeks, her trembling hands gripping the wood, refusing to stop. Then, suddenly, she collapsed. Her body crumpled beside the pile of firewood. Startled, Linda dropped her basket and ran to her. The woman was gasping for air, her face pale, her hands still clutching the log, as if afraid someone might scold her for letting go. In that moment, Linda's heart tightened, because she understood too well what hunger, exhaustion, and the fear of being left behind felt like. She knelt down, gently lifting the woman's shoulders. "Are you okay?" Linda asked softly, worry in her voice. The woman didn't answer. Her breath was faint, her hand still holding on to the wood like it was something precious. Linda looked around. No one in sight, only the whisper of trees and distant bird calls. Without hesitation, she propped the woman up, resting her head on the bamboo basket. As she wiped the sweat from the woman's forehead, memories of her own hardships came rushing back. Those lonely, starving days when she too had fallen and no one came. "It's okay. Let me help you," Linda whispered. Her eyes were gentle, yet filled with quiet strength. In the midst of the vast, silent forest, Linda's compassion flickered like a small flame, warming a weary soul lost in the coldness of life. Linda gently guided the frail woman step by step along the winding mountain path. She walked slowly, afraid the woman might stumble, her hand never leaving the other's shoulder. The woman's breath was weak, but Linda did not let go. Her eyes shone with quiet determination. The mountain wind swept through, lifting a few strands of her messy hair, carrying with it the chill of the late afternoon. When they finally reached the small hut by the hillside, Linda carefully helped the woman sit down on a woven bamboo mat in the modest kitchen. The thatched roof rustled as the wind passed through the cracks, yet somehow the place felt warm, perhaps because of the kindness within. "Rest a bit. I'll get some water," Linda said softly, then stepped outside. Moments later, she returned with a jug of cool spring water. Pouring it into a small cup, she handed it to the woman. "Here, drink this. You must be thirsty." The woman took it, her hands trembling. After a few sips, she looked at Linda with eyes filled with gratitude and quiet shame. Linda only smiled and turned to light the fire. She reheated the leftover rice from the day before, added a pinch of sesame salt and a few boiled greens. The smoke rose gently, mingling with the aroma of warm rice, filling the hut with a simple, peaceful calm. Linda brought the bowl to her guest, placing it gently in front of her. "Please eat. It's not much, but at least it'll fill your stomach." The woman lowered her head, eating slowly as tears rolled into her bowl. Linda sat beside her in silence. She didn't ask anything more. She knew that some pains need no words. Sometimes a quiet place and a bowl of warm rice are enough to remind a person that they are not forgotten. Amid the lonely mountains, in a humble hut roofed with leaves, Linda's compassion once again warmed a soul on the verge of breaking.
The woman began to recover after Linda gave her some water and a bowl of warm rice. Her face was still pale, but there was a faint glimmer of life returning to her eyes. Linda sat quietly beside her, watching her with a heart full of concern. Her voice was soft, yet carried a note of worry. "Where are you from? Why were you in the forest alone, in that condition?" The woman lowered her head, her hands clasped tightly together. For a long moment she stayed silent, then spoke, her trembling voice breaking as if holding back tears. I'm from the village across the mountain. I married a man here about a year ago, but he drinks every day. If there's no money for liquor, he shouts, he hits me, sometimes even throws away the rice pot. I couldn't take it anymore. So after the rain this morning, I went to the forest to gather firewood, hoping to sell it for a bit of rice. She paused, tears streamed down her cheeks, her weak voice carrying the weight of a lifetime's sorrow. Women like us here, we suffer a lot. Whatever our husbands say, we must obey. If we don't, we're beaten, cursed at. Even when the wind cuts like knives, we still have to work in the fields, just so our children won't go hungry. Linda froze, her heart clenched. The story felt like a blade cutting through her memories. Images of her own past returned. Those nights huddled in a dark corner, listening to the rain mix with shouts of anger and the sound of things breaking. She too had been that woman, enduring in silence, wanting to escape, but having nowhere to go. Linda reached out and gently took the woman's trembling hands. "Please, don't blame yourself," she said softly. "No one deserves to be treated like that, no matter how poor or hard life gets. Every woman deserves peace." The woman looked up, her eyes wide, then broke down in tears. Linda held her close, and the two women clung to each other, trembling. No words left, only the warmth of shared pain. In that small hut by the hillside, two women, two souls once strangers, found each other through the same sorrow. The wind slipped through the cracks in the roof, softly brushing against their tear-streaked faces, as if nature itself was trying to soothe the wounds life had given them. And in that moment, Linda understood. Sometimes a simple embrace is enough to warm an entire lifetime. The woman sat quietly for a long time, her hands still gripping the cup of water Linda had given her. Her wet hair clung to her forehead, her thin face pale and weary. Yet in her eyes flickered a strange kind of determination. "Thank you so much, Linda," she said softly, her voice trembling. "If I hadn't met you today, I don't know what I would have done. But I have to go. My children are waiting at home. They must be hungry. I can't just sit here." Linda gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're too weak. Please rest a bit longer. The forest paths are steep and slippery. What if you fall again?" The woman shook her head, smiling faintly. "Suffering is nothing new to me, Linda. If I stop now, my children will have nothing to eat. I just pray for enough strength to make it home." With that, she stood up and began to walk slowly. Linda hurried after her, steadying her arm. The two women walked together along the narrow dirt road, dry leaves crunching beneath their feet. With every step, the woman bent down to pick up the firewood she had dropped. The logs were heavy, bending her frail shoulders, but she bit her lip and kept going. At a steep bend, her foot slipped. She fell hard to the ground. Linda rushed forward, alarmed, to help her up. "See, I told you to rest." The woman panted, wiped the dirt from her forehead, and gave a faint, tired smile. "It's okay, I'm used to it. As long as I think of my children, I find the strength to go on." Linda stood frozen, watching her, that small, fragile figure disappearing into the forest's shadows. The mountain breeze whispered through the leaves, carrying with it the faint sound of footsteps and the soft sigh that escaped from Linda's chest. She understood then. For women in these highlands, suffering was nothing new. They lived, endured, and carried on each day for one reason alone: their children. Linda stood there for a long time, her heart twisting painfully. The woman's silhouette faded into the distance, leaving only the echo of her weary steps, the sound of lives struggling against poverty and cruelty, yet still clinging to hope. Linda remained still for a long while, watching until the woman disappeared down the slope. The evening wind swept through, carrying a chill from the deep forest, and something inside Linda grew quiet. She lifted her gaze to the sky, her eyes glistening, not from sadness, but from a deep sense of gratitude. If she hadn't met Quang, if his warm hands hadn't pulled her out of the darkness, if that gentle man hadn't stood by her all those years, shielding her from storms both inside and out, perhaps she would have become just like that woman, struggling through the same hardships, living in fear and loneliness. Linda exhaled softly. The wind brushed a few strands of hair across her cheek. In her heart, she whispered a quiet thank you to life, to fate, and to Quang. That man hadn't just saved her life once. He had taught her to believe in kindness again, to love, and to give. A faint smile touched her lips as she looked toward the distant forest. Out there, pain still existed, but Linda believed that as long as there were hearts like Quang's, and like hers, hope would always survive, even among the endless mountains.
Chúng ta vừa cùng nhau đi qua một hành trình nhỏ nhưng lại chất chứa thật nhiều cảm xúc, từ những nỗi buồn, những giọt nước mắt cho đến cả những khoảnh khắc bình yên, giản dị vô cùng quý giá. Cảm ơn bạn đã đồng hành và lắng nghe đến tận những giây phút cuối cùng. Mỗi một lượt xem, mỗi một ánh mắt dừng lại, mỗi một trái tim cùng đồng cảm đều là nguồn động lực để cho những câu chuyện như thế này được tiếp tục viết nên. Nếu cuộc sống còn bộn bề, đôi khi chỉ cần những giây phút lắng lại ta sẽ nhận ra rằng niềm tin, lòng nhân ái và sự sẻ chia luôn có sức mạnh chữa lành kỳ diệu. Và cũng chính nhờ có bạn, người không ngại dành thời gian quý giá để đồng hành, mà hành trình của nhân vật trong câu chuyện này trở nên trọn vẹn hơn, ấm áp hơn. Dù phía trước vẫn còn nhiều chông gai, nhưng chỉ cần trái tim con người biết hướng về nhau thì bóng tối nào cũng sẽ được soi sáng bởi một tia hy vọng. Xin gửi đến bạn lời cảm ơn chân thành nhất. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn trong các tập tiếp theo, nơi câu chuyện còn tiếp tục mở ra và những bước chân kiên cường, những mơ ước lặng lẽ và niềm tin chưa bao giờ tắt. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Chúc các bạn luôn bình an.